We back with a new episode of Textually Active, and this week we got a guest.
We phoned our friend Jamila. She got a lot of letters behind her name.
Jamila, what is it?
And I'm a licensed clinical addiction specialist.
So we back talking mental health. We gave y'all a break this week, but we really think we needed it and y'all needed it.
Let me tell you something. You might not be drinking for funsies. It may be something deeper going on.
You might not be just a social drinker, and
you might have a problem. We're going to talk about it with Jamila this week.
And we're going to talk about it right here, right now on Textually Active.
Hey, so I see all of y'all sharing y'all products, y'all businesses on your Instagram stories, on Facebook. Why not take out an ad on your favorite podcast and get more listens and more eyes on your product? Textually Active is now offering ads to businesses. All you have to do is send us an email and we'll get back to you about how you can get your ad right here on Textually Active. Send us an email right now at textuallyactivepod@gmail.com. Episode of Textually Active.
Textually Active.
This is your weekly dose of conversations about navigating the digital age while dealing with friendships, relationships, and all the ships in between. I'm Rez, and I got Meezy with me.
Whole lot of gang shit today.
Producer E is on the boards.
When I came down.
And if you're watching this episode so clearly on YouTube, you'll notice that we have another person sitting with us. This is Jamila. And she has a lot of fancy letters behind her name. I'm going to let her explain it.
Please.
But we thought it would be helpful to have somebody in here with us this week.
Because for the last, couple episodes last week, we gave y'all a break.
Yeah.
But when we came back from our break.
When we came down,
we was like, fam, something wrong with us. We need to talk to somebody who knows something about something. Depression is here. Seasonal depression is here. We've been going through it. And so we decided.
But wait, most importantly, maybe I'm not just drinking for funsies.
Maybe
I'm drinking to numb some feelings that I really need to talk about.
So we needed to put in a phone call, and we got Jamila this week. Jamila, tell the people about yourself.
Well, first off, thank y'all for having me. My name is Jamila. So I'll just tell a little bit about myself and my background. I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling.
Give it up. Give it up.
Black women do big things.
But my license is in addictions. So both of those kind of coincide in what I do. And as far as what I do right now, I work in a hospital setting in the emergency room. So a lot of the times I see patients that come in that are suicidal, wanting to hurt somebody else, depression, psychotic. So pretty much they're in a mental health crisis. So that's what I'm doing as of right now.
I think we made a really good phone call.
I think we did too.
I think this might work out today.
Right. So we phoned a friend. We got Jamila here, and we wanted to talk specifically around mental health, around addiction, around getting through those things, and what it looks like in our community. Because I feel like a lot of people are out here self-diagnosing. I mean, me and Meez have been on this episode self-diagnosing ourselves with stuff for a while.
WebMD been my best
friend.
Right,
WebMD. But when you have somebody who's directly in the field and dealing with that stuff day to day, it's important to get those things out so that you know, maybe I should go speak to somebody, or maybe this isn't just something that I do on Fridays, or maybe I really should dig deeper into what may be wrong with me.
Right.
So, I mean, let's just go ahead and get started. What you think?
We might as well skip the text. I know y'all came here for hot gossip this week, but I think I got some issues that I might need to work on, and I feel like today is the day I should probably try it the best I can.
Yeah.
So we might as well jump into the discussion this week.
Right. So, I know I said on previous episodes, maybe even on Uncle Poochie's episode,
shout out,
that I started early with drinking. I'm no longer drinking now. I know you guys heard this in the past couple of episodes. I'm sober. But I started early with drinking. Middle school, maybe. It's embarrassing to say, but I would come home, touch my parents' alcohol, tap it a little bit, pour some water back in it. I'm sorry, y'all. I buy y'all bottles every time I come to the house now, but I was touching it. And it just turned into a pattern. Like, I drank regularly, especially when I turned 21. It was just like a social thing. But as I got to the later half of my 20s, I'm like, yo, this don't even hit no more. Like, I'm getting drunk. My hangovers are lasting for 2 to 3 weeks. I'm blacking out. People are not 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 days. I'm blacking out. People are telling me stories that I don't remember. My memory is like scattered all over the place. I can hardly finish the stories that I'm telling. Like, I'm drunk. And I realized that I was using it as a coping mechanism to kind of like not feel anything. And I know that's not normal. So in your experience, like, would you consider that alcoholism?
So we can talk about two different things because you had mentioned at first that you were using it socially. So socially, you know, you have to kind of look at yourself. Am I able to put it down? I think that's one of the big things when it comes to an addiction. Am I able to be like, okay, I drank all weekend. I'm going to put it down. I'm not going to drink it for like 2 months. If it comes to a place where you feel like it's difficult for you to put it down because you're constantly thinking like, I need to drink. Like, I'm coming home from work and I need to cope with work. I need to cope with stress, and I'm not able to put it down. That's when it starts to become an issue. You mentioned blacking out as well. Things like that. If you're starting to have relationship issues with like your friends, your family, they're coming to you like, yo, you remember you did this? And they're like having conversations with you. That's when you start to notice that it can be an issue. If you're starting to get into legal issues, DWIs, DUIs, things like that. And if your tolerance has increased, so if it took maybe 2 shots to get you drunk, but now it's taking you like 8, that's when you start to notice that it can be an issue.
Yeah. I definitely was on some days just saying, maybe I shouldn't be drinking as I'm tearing that box wine up, just like, well, you know what, it'll make you feel better. So just take a sip. But my tolerance definitely increased, and it would get to the point where during the week I'm drinking so much. On the weekend, I need a little bit more to get drunk. So I'm switching from wine to alcohol. And yeah. Meezy, did anything she said?
I just want to put the trigger warning here because I was triggered. So I know if you listening, you probably about to be triggered a little bit. I feel like there was a small period where I was feeling the same, where I was, you know, you catch me out weekly in our city at various bars, just hanging out, doing my thing. And I don't know. I think that's part of the problem because you don't know if you determine it being a problem, because I would only drink on the weekend. It's not like I became dependent that I need to drink during the week, but my free time, that's what I like to do. And also I noticed that as a social drinker, I'm also drinking for my anxiety. I have social anxiety. I go outside usually by myself with nobody with me, and I realize like I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't want to be the guy in the bar on my phone, like not paying attention. So it's me drinking, like the drinks. And I learned that I drink real fast, which means when I start to drink real fast, that means I need another drink to deal with what's going on. And so now I'm 4 drinks up in an hour, and now everybody think, oh, Meezy done got lit. And it's like, no, I was just nervous, and I didn't know what to do, because having a conversation, me and you sitting here having a conversation, I'm just drinking to keep calm.
Real
so
same.
Same. Like it's weird. Like that's how I be feeling. So I'm like,
and that's kind of interesting what you said as far as like you're drinking because you know you feel anxious.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you feel more comfortable. A lot of the times that's how addiction starts. Like we're trying to overcome like depression or anxiety, or we're trying to drown out our traumas. Maybe you were abused in your childhood. Like maybe something happened in your childhood. You're using drugs or alcohol to kind of overcome that and try to drown that out.
But is it really helping in the grand scheme of things? Because when I came up from my binge of drinking pre-wedding, like I was a little fucked up mentally, like not having the alcohol to fall back on and having to sit there and be like, well, shit, maybe you wasn't drinking because the wedding was stressful. Maybe it was the triggers that the wedding pulled. Maybe it was the different conversations that you had to have throughout the wedding with people about your family dynamic or about friendships that you had to end planning this wedding. Maybe you were drinking for a little bit more than that. So would you say that alcohol helps people who are feeling these things?
No, because once you put the alcohol down, the issues are still there. And you have to address those issues without the alcohol. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people is that I don't want to sit here and think about these things. I just want to drown it out with alcohol so I don't have to think about those things. And that's why a lot of people turn towards drugs and alcohol because they don't want to think about those things. So that's a good point.
And once you pull, I've read somewhere that alcohol was like one of the hardest ones to get rid of. Is that true?
No, I think it just depends on the person. Because a lot of people, they use methamphetamines, they use opioids,
All the big boys,
cocaine, the crack epidemic and all that.
Born in the 80s, crack baby.
Okay,
little powder too. Too little powder. I don't do too much. Just too little powder here.
Sometimes you just swipe the table.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, Lord.
Little line here and there.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the person. Everybody's go-to isn't alcohol. Some people's go-to is marijuana. And I think that's the biggest thing. I had a group one time that just didn't think that you could be addicted to marijuana.
That's what I was going to say. I know a lot of people who say that too.
Because now we live in a society where the stigma around marijuana is changing. We have a lot of people focusing on like the benefits of smoking marijuana. And I've also heard like a therapist on another show podcast say that smoking marijuana isn't it affects the REM sleep. So when you start to use this every day because it helps you go to sleep, it also affects the sleep. So like now that we are changing the stigmas around marijuana, like what are the things like it's an addiction, right? Still.
It can be.
Yeah.
And I'm not pro marijuana, I'm not anti marijuana. But if we're talking about addiction, I think one of the things that was hardest for me to get across to my clients that came in for, just marijuana itself is that, the things that I just discussed earlier, is it causing issues in your life? Are you having legal issues? Because I had a lot of people come in that are on probation for marijuana. I don't agree with that, but I'd rather you get therapy rather than you go to jail.
Right.
Because that's a whole nother scheme of things. I feel like people shouldn't have to go to prison before marijuana.
Right.
But is it causing you issues in your life? Are you on probation and then you can't stop smoking because you smoke so much?
Right. Now you can't pass a P test.
Yeah, you can't put it down because you can't pass a drug test, or you can't get a job because you can't pass a drug test. So it can be an addiction. I mean, a lot of things can be an addiction, but I think we don't talk about marijuana enough. But
what are some of the main addictions that you see?
I'm seeing a lot of methamphetamine, especially come through the hospital. A lot of methamphetamine, a lot of cocaine, a lot of alcohol. I think those are the big three. Marijuana. But I don't see a lot of people coming in that want to stop using marijuana. A lot of times they want to stop using the bigger drugs.
So meth, alcohol, and what was the third one?
Cocaine.
Cocaine.
Mm-hmm. What's a methamphetamine for the record?
Methamphetamine, it depends on, because it's different types of methamphetamine.
That's what he was making on Breaking Bad, right?
I haven't seen. Is that a show?
It was the bald white man. Y'all didn't get into that?
I thought they were making crystal meth.
Crystal meth. Is that the same thing?
Oh. That is a type, and it can also be in pill form, like Adderall.
Whoa.
Yeah. What? Adderall has meth in it?
Well, it has an amphetamine component.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So are these uppers, like things that people are using to stay up, or like?
I have to do my look.
I feel like
I gotta do my research on that one again.
I think meth might keep you active.
Cause I feel like
dope puts you down.
Cause I feel like people that's using.
I know dope puts you down.
Dope put you down.
No, I be watching my drug shows. I'm familiar. I know all about it. I know all about the bars and all that stuff y'all kids be using. See, I didn't even think I knew that term. The buses. I know about the buses, the perkies. Yeah, y'all ain't slick.
When you say the bars y'all kids be doing, you don't sound as hip as you. The don't sound hip at all.
Honestly, I don't think I've heard that one yet.
The Zen bars.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I got you.
See, I'm not as hip. I'm very old.
You don't sound as hip as you think you sound.
So meth is the popular one. A lot of people, I personally stereotype that one to be a white drug. Is that who it's affecting?
Yeah, that's definitely that's what I see the most.
Is it comparable to what crack did to black people in the 80s? Not to make this a racial thing, but
I would say so, but it changes though, because opioids were a big thing about 2-3 years ago, and doctors had to really like clamp down on a lot of the prescriptions they were given. So at the time when I first graduated, so many people came in from opioid use. But now, since doctors are cracking down, they're going back towards meth. And meth is also a cheaper drug.
Opioids, them Perkies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Them Perkies.
when they realized that dope was cheaper than a Percocet, you could get a $5 bag of dope.
I also don't be thinking they know the dosage, so they be just trying to get whatever, but they be trying to get the 30 perks, and it's like, yay, this gonna cost you a little bit.
Right.
You better
don't know
relax.
the dosages. But I did have friends who were injured and they got prescribed Percocets, and it's just like, you maybe could have gave them an ibuprofen 800, maybe a Tylenol 800. You just went straight to perks.
Yep.
And then you turn around and you have this friend that you had in high school. Me personally, I had a friend in high school who is battling with addiction for pills, pills, because they were prescribed that from an injury that they got in high school.
And I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to keep it real, it's a money thing. I mean, that's just the bottom line. When I got my wisdom tooth removed, I did not want any type of pain medication. I'm like, I'm taking my leave and that's it, because, you know, I got family members that have addiction issues, and I'm not going down that road.
Even the oxys too. And I
At some point today, it don't even have to be doing this show. I just want you to just like name all the drugs that you can think of. Just for it.
Lord. All right, so we'll start at the top of the list. We got Percocet, Adderall, Xannies, promethazine, lean, Molly, cocaine, crack, syrup,
Did that
oxy,
twice, but all right.
promethazine, lean,
Yeah.
and
Then you said syrup.
syrup. Okay, that's a street name. What else? Dope. Heroin and dope. That's the same thing. See, you know it. Know about the drugs, marijuana, alcohol, sex. People don't talk about sex a lot, but sex do be addicting.
Especially if it's good. If it's trash, you just ghost them. Get out of there. Get out of there. If it's trash, don't even send the text. Just get out of there.
Right.
Because it ain't nothing you can do. Because even if you like them a lot, and I mean a lot, that's still one element. You probably gonna be like, I'm ready to go.
So you said that you are in the emergency room. So people who are making it to the emergency room, they pretty much hit rock bottom by the time they got there when they're speaking with you.
Yeah, sometimes they come in on their own. Sometimes they're brought in by police because, you know, like I said, they can come in psychotic, off their medications, not aware of what's going on with them mentally. They come in suicidal with plans of wanting to kill themselves. They come in homicidal, wanting to kill other people.
Dang.
Yeah, it's it can get real in the emergency room.
So what are some of the things that you guys do in your team? I know you're working with a team of people to bring those people back down to solid ground, because they're coming in high, drunk, talking about killing people, strapped down to the bed like that. That's
in the
level
moment
10.
too, because like you gotta put that in perspective. Like, fam, the reason I'm here because something ain't go right while I thought I was doing something that I enjoyed. Like they immediately had to bring me here.
Like, I want to kill people right now.
It's
And
up.
I'm looking at you. If I get up from this bed, it's over for you, Dr. Ma'am.
It's up and it's stuck.
Everybody in here going to feel this pain. But how do you get them down?
So if they meet that criteria, like say for instance, somebody comes in, they're depressed and they want to kill themselves and they have a plan. Most of the time we recommend inpatient hospitalization. Get them into an inpatient unit, a psychiatric unit, get them on medications, get them back to an even playing field. You get group therapy there, you get to talk to a psychiatrist there, and then you get to develop a plan with that behavioral medicine team and figure out what's the next step. Do I need to go to outpatient and get therapy? So just kind of bringing them back down to their medium and their baseline is what we like to do.
My question is, like, with dealing with that, do you think now with the time change and this is usually the seasonal depression time, is that something you're seeing more? Like, is that a common? Like, is there a correlation with being more depressed and the time change?
I haven't seen it yet in the emergency room, but I understand what you're saying, because I mean, honestly, this time change has affected me mentally, not having enough sunlight. Like, sunlight kind of brings us those happy moods, those happy endorphins. And then when it just gets dark at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, you're like, well, the day is pretty much gone. Right. So I don't think I've seen it yet in the emergency room, but I do just see a lot of people coming in for depression based off of COVID.
Oh.
A lot of kids, too, are
How
coming
old?
in. I think the youngest I've seen is 6.
Dang.
Yeah.
And what does that behavior look like in a 6-year-old?
They can be depressed. And sometimes they actually come in with plans or actually have acted on it. We see a lot of kids that come in overdosed off of pills because they're trying to kill themselves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's definitely that like kind of hits my heart a little bit, seeing kids kind of going through that. And I think them being back in school, I'm seeing less kids because now they're back face to face. But when they were out of school,
because a lot of the times the teachers, they are that first kind of contact or first person to be aware that something is going on. Like, as a teacher, I could look at a student and say, something ain't right. Let me look into this a little deeper, talk to your mom, see what's going on. But with them not being in school, they don't get that first touch anymore. It's just them at home by themselves. Their parents still got to go to work and all the rest.
And they had their friends around, too. They had their friends. They had activities they probably were doing, after-school things. And that's just kind of been stripped away. And now they're just looking at a laptop and not having any interaction with their peers. It definitely takes an effect on kids.
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, what are signs of depression? Like, how do you know? Maybe I just had a bad day, but some people might think a little bit deeper than this and be like, wait, what? Maybe I am depressed. Like, what are some of the early signs that you can, like, say, yeah, I'm depressed?
I think some of the biggest things is that you're starting to isolate yourself. Your appetites maybe increase or decrease. You're not sleeping as well. You're having thoughts of suicide. Maybe you don't plan on acting on them, but you've thought about, like...
Well, I learned about that later. Suicidal ideology. I learned about that. Yeah, I learned about that one. Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have a plan, but maybe you'll think, well, maybe if I weren't here, all my problems would just go away, or maybe my family would be better without me, because I have had a lot of people come in and say that I want to end it all. I don't care to wake up. So those are definitely some of the big ones that you want to look out for.
Oh man, I've been depressed.
I think
I've been depressed for years.
Right.
But are you missing work, and are you staying home a lot? Like, are you noticing a big shift from your normal?
I don't think so, because I think that is the way that I powered through it. But a good day for me is not having to leave the house. A good day for me is, if it's getting dark at 4 o'clock, fine. Like, I do not care. I don't need the lights on in here. I don't need none of that. A good day is me in my brain thinking, like, damn, maybe I ain't really afraid of death, because if this is the case, all right. And I just get through it, And then at my lowest, I know I've thought, like, I might die. Like, this might be my fate.
Triggering
this
with the sirens in the background.
This noise may be my faith, and I would be fine with it. Like, I've never had, specific. I've never been like, tomorrow I'm gonna do it, or I've never had like, oh, if I were to do it, this is how I would do it. But I also thought like, if I wasn't here, I'm pretty sure everybody be all right.
I feel the same way, and normally that leads me to tears. It's like, why do you feel like it'll be okay if you weren't here? Or why are you not scared of, like, me walking down the street at night sometimes? I'm like, I wish a motherfucker would. And then I'm like, I wish a motherfucker would.
Like,
and
no,
like,
I wish you would.
Oh, shit, that's really dark. Like, you need to focus on that. And it's not like I'm out here making plans or, like, thinking about how I would do it or anything, but just having that thought is scary. So I feel like for me personally, Meezy, I feel like that's when I realized, like, you might need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So as we get into like the outpatient treatment, because inpatient, that looks like you've been admitted to the hospital, they recognize that something is wrong with you, and then they start setting you up for different things. Moment of transparency, I've been in that situation. And it was scary as hell. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but that was where I got my diagnosis from the stuff that I'm going through. Okay. I mean, you know, and then from then to now, just trying to find ways to cope without being on medication or, you know, just living my day-to-day life without talking to a therapist. And then it hit me like, no, baby, you really need to address the stuff that happened to you before you can continue to move on. So that's how I got where I am now. But when we talk about outpatient, is that typically therapy or speaking to somebody? What does that look like?
So outpatient is pretty much therapists and or psychiatrists. So if you're interested in getting on medication, you can have that psychiatric piece where you see a psychiatrist, but it's a shorter session. So as for instance, like if you just want therapy, you may see a therapist for an hour and a half, but a psychiatrist is really a short session, like maybe 15, 20 minutes tops, and then you're out the door with your meds. But, yeah, that's what the outpatient side looks like. Sometimes there's also a peer support where, say, for instance, you're homeless or you're jobless and you need those resources. That's what peer support is there for.
I'm on the going to speak to somebody about meds track, so I'll be there soon.
You keep saying this.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, I pride myself in being transparent, and one of the things that I said when I came back to the show was, like, I am taking the steps to get help. So when I sit down next, I am going to speak to a psychiatrist about what my options are. I think 2 episodes ago, I said that I've been working very hard up until this point, and I'm tired of having to work as hard to regulate my emotions and maintain my behavior and make sure I'm not on a wave of up and down, a major peak and then crash. Like, I need to be just stable. So if I'm not drinking anymore and I'm not falling back on that, maybe medication would be an option for me.
One thing I want to say about medications is that there's so many different combinations. And I like to tell people, like, medication is also a journey in itself because you have to find the right medication that adjusts to your body. You have to find the right combination that helps with your mood. But medication only takes you but so far. So having the part of therapy added in with medication gives you the best outcome.
Right. So it's a duo. Name a better duo.
Yeah.
Zanny's and my therapist.
That's pretty good. So I be trying to figure out, like, what are the best steps to take into finding a therapist, because, you know, I feel like finding a therapist is like finding a partner. Like, you have these, I want A, B, C, D. They can't be a D, F, E. I think I did that wrong.
No, I want a black woman in her around my age.
Exactly.
She need to be from the north, like, you know, just very specific about what you want.
Gotcha. And I kind of address this on my social media a little bit.
Where can they follow you on social media?
We'll get into that later.
Okay.
Well, why they watch an episode? Maybe they want to know. Where can they find you?
Instagram, Jamila Ashley. Do I need to spell it?
We'll put it.
Yeah,
We'll put that at the bottom.
Yeah, Instagram, Jamila Ashley. You can DM me if you have any questions. That's where you can find me the most.
Her DMs are open.
I don't know that's what that meant.
Okay.
That's not what it meant. But starting your outpatient journey is, if you have insurance, you can always do just a random Google search. Say you have Blue Cross Blue Shield. I want to find a Black female therapist in Winston-Salem that accepts Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Oh, that's good.
And majority of the time I use Psychology Today as a website, and it shows you a list of like those therapists. Now, if you want to X out that part, you can just call the 800 number back on your insurance, on the back of your insurance card. But some people aren't fortunate enough to have insurance.
That's Blacks.
Yeah, minorities, definitely. So there's a lot of places, a lot of nonprofits that you can go to for outpatient therapy. So you just have to do a Google search for that.
Okay.
When it comes to finding a therapist, I feel like I'm in that boat now. I have a therapist. He cool or whatever. What checklist should I be looking for when I'm speaking to a therapist?
How do I know my therapist is right for me?
How do I know my therapist is working? Because I only had a couple sessions, but the second session, I was so tired. Like, I just felt exhausted. And maybe this is a two-part question, but I was just like, am I supposed to feel this way? Like, I feel heavier. I feel like I want to drink more after I talk to this man. Like, and it was a weird feeling. So how do I know if it's working?
I think the most important part to think about is that a therapeutic relationship takes time. Sometimes you don't click with your therapist off gate. And, you know, sometimes, and that's fine. Explain that to your therapist. Tell them that you feel like, well, I don't think I'm getting the benefit of therapy like I thought I would be. Explain that to your therapist, and maybe they can refer you to somebody else. But I think that's why the Google search is more effective, because you actually get to see. Sometimes they have like little pictures of their profile. You get to see what they specialize in. So you're like, okay, I think I would really vibe with this person. But if you're going to a big outpatient like company, because my first job was a big outpatient company, sometimes they just set you up with the first person that you get an appointment with, and that's your assessment part. So at the end of your assessment, you can talk about what you're looking for in therapy and what kind of therapist you're looking for.
Right. Okay. So you can make that decision after you have your initial session. Okay.
Right, because I tried that shit, and boy, let me tell you, I was sitting in there spilling my guts out, and she was just telling me, repeat it back to me while I say, yeah, you're right. Like, ma'am, I just told you that, and you just tell me back again, like, you didn't help me today. I don't feel like I left here better than I came. Like, I didn't get no solution / game plan for how to move better. I didn't get nothing. It was just me in here talking to you, and I'm like, I'm paying you for this.
Was that your first session?
It went along. It went for about, I think I paid her about 8 times before I realized, you know what, I don't know if I want to keep coming back here.
Okay. And that's fine, because, that first therapist may not be the one that you click with or the one that you feel like is helping you. It's like you said, it's trying to find a partner. And that's, I think, the hardest part in trying to find a therapist that you vibe with, is finding the right one. And the first one might not be the right one. The second one might not be the right one. So it is a journey. It's definitely a process.
Yeah. I always wanted I thought having a Black lady was gonna help, because it's kind of like a mom, like she give that vibe off, like she would help you the same way your mom used to, but it didn't work so well for me.
Right. I feel like my last session, Bob was working me out. I'll call him Bob because he's white, but that ain't no shade to the white people out there. Bob was working me out. I throw, I go on, I go out on a rant, not like that. Y'all chill. I'm somebody's wife, all right? Dang, I'm trying to be serious with Jamila and stuff. You bringing out Reek Nasty.
I'm just saying,
I don't like
it. Reek Nasty.
I meant to say Raz Nasty. But I was trying to say Freak. Yeah, he would come back with a question. I done went on a 5-minute rant, and he like, so I noticed in that you said this. Can you tell me more about that? Hell yeah, I can. So I'm just ranting, and then I get to the point where like, okay, I'm tired of talking now. Can you got something else to say? But and like I said, at the end of that session, I felt like I could use a drink. I didn't go for a drink. I made myself some tea, and I went on the balcony to smoke a little bit.
Not weed.
Black them out.
As a
And
chief.
I tried to calm
Chief
down.
in a black and mild after therapy is wild.
So I took to the balcony with my peppermint tea and my black and mild because it's on my coping list. I have a list of things that I use to cope, and I pulled it out. So do we want to read? Do we want to sleep? Do we want to masturbate? All right, do balcony and black and mild. This one. So I took it outside, and it got me thinking, like, maybe I could drink a little bit of wine. Maybe I would be fine to drink a little bit of wine. So for those people who are out there who may be struggling with their mental illness or maybe, having a hard time during the winter months, what does a healthy relationship look like with alcohol, or if they like to smoke weed? I'm not going to list any of the hard ones, but what is a healthy relationship with that?
A healthy relationship with alcohol?
Yeah.
I think and I think we can go back to the difference between, am I using it to cope with my emotions? Because then that becomes unhealthy.
Yeah, because if I would have drank in that moment, that would have been unhealthy, right?
Right. But I mean, a healthy, because I don't like to say healthy relationship with alcohol, but, are you only drinking, socially and able to put it down and not feel like you need to go back to it? I think that's
social setting.
Especially now,
Right.
because it's holiday season. Christmas is up next. We just got through Thanksgiving, and so you out and about. The friends are home in town, and family is around, and so
and that's when a lot of people get the most triggered, is when they're around their families.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of people that are around you that are drinking and using, you feel triggered by that.
Right. And that was gonna be my other question, because when I was going through my wedding planning and everything, and the day of planning, I wanted to drink champagne the whole time. But I didn't, because one of my family members was there and they have a history of struggling with those things. So I was like, we're going to cut that. And it got me thinking, was it right for me to make that decision for them? Or is there an instance where somebody who struggles with addiction is able to drink socially again? Or should we always be on high alert for them to drink again?
That's a good question, because I be wondering.
Because sometimes,
like right now,
that uncle come back and they cool and they got that, and it feel like last time they got that Coors Light with them and they trugging it, and you feel like it's a normal interaction. You know what I mean?
Like right now, it's hard to be around you while you're not drinking. Because I be wanting to be like, maybe we shouldn't drink today because Red's here. But also, I'd be like, maybe I won't have a good time. I don't care about Reds. And it's kind of hard to pick in place.
You're walking a very fine line, being around settings. Like, say for instance, I'm done drinking. I haven't been drinking for a month, and you decide to go into a bar because your friends are gonna go. More than likely, if you're like Meezy was saying earlier with his anxiety and stuff, and now you're feeling anxious because you're around all these people, you probably will pick up a drink. It's kind of like, what's that saying? You sit in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. You sit in a bar long enough and you're trying to be sober, you're going to pick up a drink. So it's a very fine line, and it's not healthy for you to be in those settings.
I will say I think I tried it with Meezy and Jazz a couple Fridays ago, and I did good. I was at the bar, had a good time, made my own time. They played Kaya, and I was, all your ladies pop, yo, pussy like this. I was getting it, right? But in the back of my head, I was like, you're not really drinking because you have a problem. You can have a drink if you wanted to. And then the other voice in my head was like, bitch, you better not. So I didn't. But when I got home, I realized how exhausting that exercise was, because not only was I having that conversation in my head, but people in the bar were asking me what I was drinking. And I got my little cranberry juice with a splash of Sprite. And the one guy, he literally said verbatim, her drink is really red. What is she drinking? It's cranberry juice, bro. And he was like, I'm sure he was just asking because he wanted one too. It looked good, but it's literally cranberry juice. So fighting with other people, and then like in social settings outside of the bar, when I'm dealing with friends, like going to Friendsgiving, I opted out of Friendsgiving this year. I can't do it. It's too much of a one-on-one session, and when y'all get drunk, y'all like to spit in people's face and tell stories. I'm not with that. So
being sober
I was like,
and having the rest of the drunk people talk to you is nuts.
And then, I'm fresh into a marriage, so the other question is, are you having a baby? Bitch, I don't even know if I can have babies yet. How about that? And you're asking me if I'm pregnant, and that's why I'm not drinking. But it also turns into a deeper conversation for me because, like, why aren't you drinking?
That's a really great point, because I always wonder what is the thing about change. Like, why is it weird? Like, yes, the last 6 times you saw me, it was lit, I was turned up, and I was drunk. But today, I might say no, but I still want to be around my people.
Right.
Like, I still want to be here. Why are you asking me why? Why do you think it's wrong that I didn't want to drink today?
And why do you guys feel so pressured by me not drinking? Like, I don't want you all to change your behavior around drinking because I'm not drinking. Like, I know I'm strong enough to say, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing it. And it's not messing me up to the point where I'm in the corner like, I'll just grab my little sparkly or something, because I think that's what it turns into. When I stopped smoking cigarettes, it was the motion. So it wasn't so much that I was addicted to smoking the nicotine. It was the bodily function. I need to keep my mouth and my hands busy. Y'all know. But
Relax.
so I started picking up. What? Oh, that's the sound that he's making is a sound where somebody is being nasty. Okay. But so I'll drink a sparkling soda instead, or I'll drink a cranberry juice just to keep my mouth and hands moving. So I think we need to just normalize as people in a community. We're old enough. We're at that age where, I'm in my 30s. So socially drinking is one thing. But if I see you on the gram on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you just always posting a drink to your story, I'm worried about you. I'm concerned. So I think we need to normalize people not drinking in social situations, because everybody isn't able to drink socially. And like Meezy said, you still want to hang out with your friends. So then it turns into, what else can we do with those people who are no longer drinking to make them still feel a part of a friendship?
I mean, it's your decision. And I feel like, this is a really good point that you hit on. It's like, why do we make it such a big deal when somebody stops drinking? If somebody changes their diet and decides to be vegan, we're not asking, well, why are you over here being vegan? Sometimes we do, but
no, they do. They tear the vegan.
As black people,
me saying I'm pescatarian in these streets, whoo!
If you
they want to fight me.
When it's the cookout time and there ain't no vegetarian options, they get a little angry about it.
Now they gotta get salmon for head ass over there. You always want to get a vegetable.
We don't have sides here. We got ribs.
We barely got a plate for you asking about some asparagus. If you don't get it.
But I think people are just kind of like, well. And they start to peer pressure you a lot more, like, well, you need to get back drinking, or okay, you're not drinking tonight.
But if what about tomorrow? But if I look them in their eyes and I'm like, I'm not drinking because I was alcoholic, they're gonna be feeling bad. Oh, well, here's some water for you. Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want to divulge all that information to them just yet. Like, you don't feel comfortable saying, I have a problem drinking, and like having a whole therapy session with your friends. So it's like,
now everybody in the corner like, am I an alcoholic too?
Right.
Change the mood in this bitch. Let's go.
Don't invite her next time.
Right. Or they might think like, oh, well, now she's going to be a downer and she's not going to be as lit, or she's not going to be as fun. No, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to still be fun.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to be the responsible one in the function. That's nuts.
Right. It's me. How y'all get, I don't mean to be this person, but how y'all get home tonight?
No, she can't go with you. Like, damn.
All right, so that brings me to kind of like my next point. Realizing that, matter of fact, I'm going to take it this way. Intervention was a good-ass show. Mm-hmm. Is it realistic for us to sit down with our friends and tell them, hey, you going crazy on that cocaine? I know it was a weekend thing. We used to hit the gay bar, and powder was dope. Like, we had a great time off that powder. But I'm noticing that you're doing it Monday through Friday.
That is a very wild, accurate description. The gay bar?
How do you sit your friends down and say, hey, girl.
Especially because there's somebody who doesn't listen.
Well, I mean,
Meezy doesn't listen.
No.
Meezy gonna want to fight.
I'm like, no, I got this. I'm fine. Leave me alone. Yes, we had Sunday fun day today, but I'm going home. I'm not staying there. I'm finna get in my car and go home.
So, I mean, if it's coming from a good place, I don't see anything wrong with interventions, but it's ultimately up to that person to stop using and stop drinking. You know, you can't convince them otherwise. If they're not ready to stop using drugs or drinking alcohol, then that's on them. You know, all you can do is be as supportive as you can, you know, and if that means, like, because if this person is being destructive or destructive to your friendship, destructive to your family, sometimes people have to set boundaries with that person, but it's ultimately up to that person to stop, to put it down and make a change.
That's a word. That's a word. So no matter how many times we sit down and we talk to them, no matter how many times we, you know, try to show up to the function with cranberry juice instead of alcohol, it's up to that person to change their mindset and get around the addiction. Are there any tips for people who may be listening to this episode and feel like, you know, it's kind of hitting home for me? What are small steps that they can take to see, is this me? And how can I fix this if it is me?
I guess what you could do is kind of analyze, you know, maybe some of the things that I said. If you feel like you have a problem, is your tolerance increasing? Are you getting into a lot of legal troubles? Are you getting into situations with your families and friends where they are sitting you down constantly? Are you engaging in this activity more than you should be? Like, are you missing work because you're hungover or because you can't function at work without drinking or without using that drug? So I guess just kind of analyzing your own life and seeing if any of those things hit. And if you're ready to take that step to stop using, maybe outpatient therapy might be for you, or maybe you need to just go straight detox. There are facilities where you can go in, detox for like 6-7 days straight, and then you can go into therapy. Because depending on how much somebody uses of a drug or how much they drink, it might be safer for somebody to go into detox because you can have some heavy withdrawals.
That's right. That's true. That's what I heard about withdrawal from alcohol. It's really hard.
Every time I think of withdrawal, I always see that scene in Ray when Jamie Foxx is on the bed and he just starts shaking real bad and they go in the bathroom and throw up. That's every time in my head, that's all I see. No matter what drug or addiction you have, that's just all I see.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, you definitely can go through that. You can have seizures from alcohol. Your blood pressure increases with alcohol. I know this might be TMI, diarrhea.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
The whole time I thought it was because I was lactose.
And I was withdrawing.
Oh, all right. That makes sense. That makes sense. And the ice cream, the Coke. Oh.
You guys are still lactose.
All right.
We can't push this on something else. All right, so.
But that gelato be good, bro.
I think sometimes we can do all of these things and we can say all of these things here, but ultimately, I think the other side of this is some people don't make it out of addiction. And there are cases when you have family members that you lost to addiction. You have celebs that you look up to that you lost from addiction. And sometimes it's hard for the people who are left behind to navigate those spaces. Do you have any words of encouragement for people who may have lost somebody to addiction?
I would definitely say there's support groups that you can go to. Like, say, for instance, you don't have an issue with an addiction, but you have a family member that does. There's support groups called Al-Anon and Nar-Anon. Nar-Anon is for the hardcore drugs, and Al-Anon is for alcoholics, family members that drink alcohol, and Nar-Anon is for family members that use the other drugs. So there's like places you can go to where you can be a part of a setting where other family members are struggling as well.
And for those groups, do they take volunteers, like people to come in who still have family members that are living through it? Like, how does that work?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they would take volunteers. But,
and it's called Ar-Anon?
Al-Anon, AL-ANON.
Okay.
And Nar-Anon is NAR-
ANON.
Yeah.
I get it. Narcotics and Alcohol Anonymous. Oh, got it. Okay.
Look
I
at
think
you.
that's a
Using it.
I
Using
think
it.
that's a good tool though, because it would be dope if you have people that lost somebody from addiction and you have addicts in the same room and they just talk about their experience and how it's hurting their family members. Because one thing for me, going through my journey with family members who have addictions is realizing that it was something they couldn't control, almost like a disease or like you being sick with a virus. It's like it's not in their control anymore. So me being upset at them for not showing up, or me being upset for them for, you know, taking an experience away from me or turning a good situation bad isn't benefiting them. So in some cases, I did have to separate the person from the addiction in order for me to move forward with coping with a relationship, like moving forward. And that was hard for me to go through. So knowing that there are support groups out there for people who are going through these things is, you know, a great tool. So write it down, people. Write it down.
And I like how you brought up a very good point, because addiction is a disease. And I think there's a lot more negative stigmas associated with people who are addicts versus people that have mental health issues.
Right.
We're more becoming supportive of people that have mental health issues. But if, you know, you see an addict on the street, oh, they're thieves, they're liars, you know, they're not good people. No, they're still people. They're just, you know, they have a disease, a brain disease at that. And, you know, they're caught up in something that they can't control.
They got turned around. That's it.
That's a good question, because, like, what makes you an addict? Like, if I drink every once in a while, or, you know, I might, you know, sniff a little line here and there in social,
coping.
Like, how far is it before you become, like you keep saying, like, if you it continues to affect, but, like, could I, like, be an addict if I tried it one time and I just was like, you know, no.
No, I mean, there's a difference. Experimenting is definitely a thing. I mean, I've tried marijuana in my early 20s. All it did was make me laugh and be paranoid. So that was not for me. So there's nothing wrong with, like, experimenting. But like I was saying earlier, when you start recognizing those things, can I not put it down now?
Right.
It's
So
becoming an issue to where I can't put it down. I can't function without it. I'm constantly thinking about it. I have to drink more or use more to get high or to get drunk.
So men and women out there concerned about their sexuality, take what she just said and apply it to the opposite sex to get the answer of if you're bi or if you're straight. If you tried it once, it don't mean you gay, all right? You just tried it. You wanted to know.
Relax, bro. Fucking Molly over there. That man is not gay, Molly. Relax.
He's not gay. So I know we're pushing up on time, but I do have one last thing that I wanted to kind of talk about. And I know we have a lot of awareness around mental health now. And, you know, a lot of people are self-care day in and I'm going to therapy. But there are still people out there on the fence and of the belief that therapy isn't going to do anything for them. How can we get more people that look like us to believe in therapy?
And both sides. As therapists and as people who go to therapy.
Right.
Because my problem is, I have been very, you know, stubborn. But I also would like to, if I'm going to get to therapy, I like to take some steps before I get there. And it ain't a lot of us that look like us doing that.
Right.
And I think that's still a big part and a big issue with therapy is that there are not a lot of black therapists. And for one, there's not a lot of black male therapists. There's starting to become a lot more black female therapists, but black male therapists is very slim. Right. And I think a lot of black men would like to have another black male therapist so that, you know, they feel more comfortable. But I think just continuing the conversation of mental health, because I mean, like it's a big stigma in the African American community. They assume if you go to therapy, you're crazy. Just normalizing it more.
Telling my business to somebody else.
Right. Yeah. I don't want anybody to know my business.
God forbid somebody hear this episode and be like, I knew that bitch was crazy.
I mean,
yes,
right.
I am. But
Right.
that's rude.
if you've
like,
ever,
stop doing that.
if you've ever heard an episode of this,
not just this episode. Y'all should be sending
EDM
Baby,
open
put
if
your
you
cash
need to know.
Put your cash app up. If y'all feel bad for Ian, his experience with me, cash app
my
Ian.
goodness.
Oh, that's right, baby.
And it's also the term, go to church and pray about it.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
definitely
You
had
gonna
a
help
big
You think so? Because I feel like that is
That's true.
that is the black people's alternative. Like, if I go to God, I don't have to go to therapy.
Church does offer therapy. However, one-on-one therapy is different from going to church and a group, if you consider church to be therapy, a group therapy session. Because that's just one word for people. You know what I mean? It's not a specific plan attacking what's going on with you as an individual.
Right.
Your relationship with God is going to be your relationship with God. God hear you too, but he busy. There's a lot of people out here calling him.
Stephen Furtick can't
Imagine
help you
your
one
mind
on
just study. Y'all talk about why God ain't answered the slave. Can you imagine how many people was praying in slavery? God had a lot of phone calls.
Michael Todd is not gonna get you through your exact situation right now.
Give God a minute. But in the meantime, while you going through it, talk to somebody.
Yep.
God put soldiers on this earth to help you go through it. Talk to the soldiers. Gotta be there in a crisis. Talk to the soldiers, you know?
Yep.
He
He put us here for a reason.
Right.
pretty funny.
Utilize us.
That's pretty funny.
Right. On that note, let's go ahead and take a break and come back with our final thoughts.
You need promotion and visibility for your product? Why not do it right here on Textually Active? It's a space right here that you can add to. If you got a podcast, a book club, a vinyl, a candle set, whatever it is you do, we might need some lashes. You can promote your product right here on Textually Active. Be sure to click the link wherever you're listening to this to, and you can get more information there. Promote your stuff right here with Textually Active.
All right, so we're back. And before we wrap up the show, we got to do our final thoughts, play a little tune, and get into our memes. But let's jump right into our final thoughts. So going through this episode, one of the major questions that I had that I didn't get a chance to get to is what exactly the therapist's job is in the session. I had it in my head that I go to therapy, I show up, I sit down, I spill out my guts, and they give me like some type of plan, and then I'm healed. Or I just go there and I automatically feel better. Maybe they just ask me a bunch of questions and I respond. So what do they actually do, and what should people expect when they go there?
So I like to tell people that you are the leader of your own life. A therapist is simply your guide.
Text alert.
We're not here to tell you what you should do. We can make recommendations, and we also develop a treatment plan. So when you come in, you're like, well, this is some of the things I want to address. I have, say, for instance, trauma in my life. I want to eventually get to that and work up to that. I have an addiction, and I also want to work on that. So there's a treatment plan that therapists develop for each individual, because everybody's treatment plan looks different. And it depends on how long you want your therapy to last. I know when I worked in outpatient, we updated our treatment plans every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. So it just depends on how long you want your therapy sessions to last. But it's ultimately, like you said, up to you once you leave that therapy session to also put in the work. So say, for instance, your therapist gives you homework, it's up to you to actually do it and kind of understand what some things are that you want out of your therapist.
Homework.
Yeah.
You do?
My friends be getting homework. I want some homework.
Jesus.
So
I can't talk to you about my problems and I get more. Jesus.
But addressing like your life struggles, is work. Addressing your trauma is work. And a lot of these things that you have suppressed in the back of your mind, it is work.
So should we go into it with a reason as to why we're there and what we want to fix? Because I was caught off guard when he asked me that question, and I don't know if that was the real reason. I just was like, well, shit, I'm here because blah, 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 blah. But that's not actually what I want to work on. Like,
So are you saying, can you just go to therapy and not know what you want to work on?
yeah.
I believe so. A lot of the times you can find people that are like, I'm not sure. Right now, my life is kind of all over the place, and I'm a little bit lost myself. So maybe start there. Yeah. And then a lot of the times you can have things come up that you didn't even realize that you kind of suppressed in the back of your mind that actually tend to come up in therapy. And now you're like, okay, maybe since we talked about this, we need to address this a little bit more.
Yeah. That's true.
That's crazy.
All right, Meezy, I need a song.
All right.
Jamila, thank you so much.
Look at you, overwhelmed.
Got me fucked up. Wrong
You-
way.
You are now tuned in to WMEZ. You're now tuned in to WMEZ this week. The song of the week this week is from EVERYSECND. It is called "Not a Problem" here on WMEZ.
Textually active.
All right, so let's soften it up a little bit more by pulling out a meme. Jamila, this is the segment where we share something that we saw on the internet that made us laugh or made us think or related to the episode. Do you have a meme this week?
I don't have one.
That's fine. We got it. Meezy, what you got?
I just want to say Jamila brought up a great point about sometimes you go to therapy to work on traumas, and I just want to say nobody embarrassed me more in 2010 than writing Facebook statuses.
The Facebook statuses, they come back up, and you're like, damn, did I say that?
Why was I?
But I also, so this reminded me. I was looking at one of those statuses that came back up, and I tweeted the lyrics to Love Bomb by N.E.R.D. Not Pharrell, well, also known as Pharrell and them. But I was like, yo, I forgot about this song, and it came back, so it also was a help for me.
I feel like your meme this week, I know you probably got one set up, but it should be what you said the other week, because it's really good.
What?
If you don't want to use it, I'm going to use it.
Go ahead.
It's getting cold out, and you know your mental's already gentle. What you need to do to improve your self-care for the week, put a couple pictures of people you love on your dashboard to hide that check engine light. Hey, you can turn the radio up if it started making noise. Protect yourself.
Protect your mental health. Facts. Yo, I meant that. And people were like laughing at me and shit, but that's why I have those pictures there. Because I have car trauma. But my meme actually this week is, we was not supposed to know this many people existed, let alone their thoughts. That's why it's okay to log your ass off of social media sometimes, because it's overload. Your brain was not meant to know what everybody's going through. How is it so many people in the world? And then you actually think that you can get to know them. You can't. You won't meet every single one of these people, I promise you.
Then you be like, yo, they relate to me. Like how do you know?
No, you don't know these people. You might not ever meet them. Relax. But Jamila, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, because I think we touched some of the things that people have been like traumatized. Like, I know the listeners will be like, oh my God, another mental health. But I think this is things that people need. Like, we need to touch the stigmas around these addictions and problems. Because I even drank during the whole episode. I ain't gonna tell nobody else, but I did it, and I thought I was okay, but maybe I'm not.
It's okay. We gonna work through it.
I also want to thank you because they've been trying to self-diagnose for the last 100 episodes.
I mean, high key, low key, I already was diagnosed. I told y'all this, but I'm working on it.
And I'm still drinking.
But you is starting to address it.
Probably shouldn't be sexually
Or
active or
identify.
drinking.
I mean, probably shouldn't be sexually active while I'm drinking.
Jamila, where can the people find you? What do you do in your spare time? Can they follow you on social media?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Jamila Ashley. I do content on my social media. I'm actually taking a break right now because I'm tapping into my own mental health, and I needed a break from making content. But,
Which is okay.
yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube at Jamila Ashley. You can also find me on Facebook at Jamila Ashley.
Don't forget the TikToks.
Oh, yeah.
You be on TikTok? I love TikTok.
I do TikTok.
If you've been doing TikTok since before October 2020, you may be out to get some money. There's a class action lawsuit going on there. All right, make sure y'all sign up. Get yourself $20 or something. You never know when you might need
gas money.
that $20 slide at the right time. It's a good Friday. You know
Right
what I
now,
mean?
with gas so high, $20 don't fill me up no
Okay,
more.
put it in your gas tank, baby. But thank you all for listening to another episode of Textually Active. I really hope y'all got a piece of information from this, and we keep talking about this support group. We gonna make one. Y'all just let us know where y'all want it at. We gonna be there. We gonna talk about the episodes with y'all afterwards and everything. So thank you for listening to Textually Active. We really appreciate you all as listeners. Make sure y'all send some love to Jamila. Let her know you heard her. If it's something that she said that resonated with you through the episode, reach out to her. She'll answer questions, talk to her, she talk back, talk to me, she talk back. Meezy is working on it.
If I like you, I talk back.
Depend on the time.
If I don't know you, it's weird.
But we'll be back next Tuesday, y'all. Thank you.